Hey everyone, it's Nathis, and this is the moment that I've really been waiting for. I, as I did in my last video, have received my Kickstarter um, stuff from SolForge Fusion the last winter. So I am going to open up this display. So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to do a quick video per booster. I'm going to talk a little bit about the fuses I think would be fun. So there'll be 4 videos for this display, and I've got 4 total, one of them being an all foil. So there's going to be 16 videos in this upcoming series, which I know is a lot. So they'll be releasing over the next couple of weeks. But I'm really excited to start seeing some last winter decks and start messing around with some more stuff. Because right now I've opened a few displays worth at Fuse Fest, but I'm really excited to open this new set. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the packaging. So right off the bat, it's a very like wintry theme, which you would expect because this is the last winter. You see a little bit of callback to Battle for White Fang Pass and some of the snowy art. So overall, there's a lot of really cool, just general art on this. So duel against your friends with these 4 unique decks. So you've got 1 deck of each faction and 4 bonus cards, which are the minions or the soul binds. So overall, I'm really excited to really delve into this and see what we can get. So we'll open this up. We're going to get to our first booster, and we'll go from there. So there's some really, really cool new cards and abilities in this set. It really synergizes very well with set 2 I've found so far. So a lot of the fuses that I've had the most success for with set 3 has been with a set 2 deck and a set 3 deck. So we're going to start with this first booster here. So I'm going to move this to the side. And we'll see what we can get. So this is the first edition booster of the last winter. You got the same little blurb on the back of the boosters that you do on the decks themselves. So really excited. And there is the potential for Soulbind Forgeborn cards, which is new to this set, which is really cool. So what we'll do, we're going to open this display. And I will say that there's some really cool Loin cards too. I feel like even though a Loin might still be a little bit on the weaker side, and again, I could be wrong there. There's still a lot of really cool Loin stuff that makes it worth wanting to open them. So it doesn't feel as bad saying, all right, now I have to open my Aloyan. So here are the 4 decks that we've got. Just 4, because we're talking about Aloyan a lot right now. Let's start with some Aloyan and see if we can get anything really cool. So one thing that I'm a little sad about, which I had hoped for this set, was that they would add some pull tabs, which unfortunately not yet, but maybe one day in the future we'll get those. Trying to get this open. I guess one thing that I did see right off the bat, because I turned it upside down as I'm trying to open this, is that there's no Soulbind in this specific pack, because we saw our minion at the back. So that's like a tell. If you're opening stuff and you want to know right away if you got a Soulbind, you can look at the back, and if you see a minion, you know you don't have a Soulbind. Alright, so here is our first recording of a set 3 The Last Winter pack. So we're going to start with an Ardent Guide. So deploy, give the next creature you play this turn plus 10 health. That's pretty cool. We've got a Camouflaged Alamancer. That's pretty standard, so not going to go really too depth into this one. We've got Drone Hive, which is a card that I'm really excited about. So you can basically destroy your other Drone Hives to play a Gizmo. Whenever your creature in this lane has Slay, you may play a Mega Gizmo. So with the right card combinations, if you keep destroying stuff in this lane, you're going to keep making Gizmos, which is really fun. We've got Electronet. That's a set 1 card. Forge Plate Yeti, another set 1 card. Here's a new one, Soul Cipher. So activate switch a creature's attack and health. That's pretty fun. I want to look for a cool way to take advantage of this, but even so, this could be a 15-9 or a 9-15 when you play it, and it's a Spirit. So this is a very interesting card for set 3. Next, we've got a Spirit Forge Sentinel. So this is a card we've seen before from set 1. Here's another new card. Spirit Steel Infiltrator. So it's got mobility, aggressive. When this deals damage to an enemy player, you may give an enemy creature minus attack. So it's kind of similar to a few of the other aggressive cards in sets 1 and 2, like Windspark. Elemental is another version, but deals damage instead of giving minus attack. But this is very Aloyan. So I like this card. Being aggressive in Aloyan is really nice. And it's a Spirit. We've got Stabilizing Engineer. So stabilizing makes you return the creature to its printed attack and health. But you got deploy, give this 5 attack for each creature with armor you have in play. So there's definitely some armor synergy here, so that's not too bad. And finally, we've got a suppressing champion. I always like stabilizing suppressing. So champion has exalted activate, give each creature adjacent to this +3/+3, and then suppressing is you may destroy a creature with 8 attack or less. So this is an interesting one, and it's a warrior. So exalted means it has to be in a lane with one of your exalts to be able to activate. So finally, we'll look at the Forgeborn here. So we've got an Ironbeard. It's got knockback. You got Iron Might at level 3 and Shield Slam at level 4. So I think Iron Might's one of the new abilities. So you can give a creature +9 attack. It's in a lane with exalts. You also give it armor. And then Shield Slam. Give each of your creatures 3 armor. This turn you may deal 1 damage to an enemy creature for each armor on your creatures. I like Shield Slam a lot. That's pretty cool. So overall, this is an interesting list. You've got something like your Camouflaged Alamancer or your Forge Plate Yeti to be like in a kill for your Drone Hive right away. There aren't any other mages except for the Ardent Guide, which honestly I thought that was a warrior based off of the picture of the art and so on. But the Ardent Guide's the only other mage in this deck. Overall, you've got some aggressive cards. You've got some ability to switch your attack and your health. You got some removal with the stabilizing and suppressing. So it's an interesting list. It's nothing super crazy, but I feel like you might be able to find something really interesting to play out of this. And you got some cool new cards too. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this list. We'll see if there's anything that would pair very well with this out of this booster. So, yeah, just drop one of the cards. Might help if I don't drop stuff. All right. So next, we're going to go with our Utera. So there's a lot of really cool upgrade-related cards in Utera. So that's what I've been finding a lot of fun with so far early in the set, and I'm hoping that we can get some of those cool cards in this pack. But obviously, it's currently the struggle of trying to get these open. Here we go. All right, so we're starting with a Binding Wildman. So Wildman has Exalted Breakthrough, which is pretty interesting with all the Exalted abilities. We've got Botanimate, always a great card to see, no matter what set you're in. Cultivating Guardian, which is one of the cards that I really like in this set. So Cultivating Guardian has deploy, upgrade a creature in your hand, and the first time you upgrade a creature for each turn, you may play it for free. So the other levels just upgrade a creature in your hand and discard it. So Cultivating Guardian's a really insane card if you get it to your higher levels. Deep Branch Prowler. I think this is the first one of these that I've opened so far. So it's a 13-1 at level 3. Exalted at the start of combat, you may have this strike the opposing creature. If you do, it doesn't deal combat damage this turn. So this is a card that is very interesting in terms of keeping itself alive, but it has to be in a lane with an Exalt. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. Fertile Ground. This card's pretty insane. So you put energy counters on this. You could remove it to play a level 1 or level 2 creature from your hand for free. Then if there's no energy counters, destroy this. So the level 1 lets you play a Wisp. The level 2 lets you play a level 1 creature. And the level 3 lets you play a level 1 or 2. So this just helps you push out additional cards from your hand, especially stuff that's underleveled. So I think Fertile Ground's an awesome card. That's a card that I'm going to be looking for a lot. So Overgrown's kind of like Taliesin. So the levels 1 and 2, you could play up to 2 creatures or exalts for free, and then your opponent can as well. But if you get it to level 3, you can basically just you. So this is a very interesting card. I feel it's like Taliesin on steroids almost, because giving your opponent 2 cards is a lot, but then you have 2 cards to kind of respond. Next, we've got a Pack Wartusk, so that's pretty standard. Shepherding Willow. Plant Spirit with Activate. If you have 3 or more spirits in your banish pile, you gain 5 health. So the level 3 being able to activate, because levels 1 and 2 is a deploy. So if you have spirits in your banish pile, just being able to activate this every turn is pretty insane. Shroudthorn Splicer, great card from set 1. And finally, Utera Forebear, another new card. So you basically have a deploy to give another creature attack and health, and then when it's destroyed, you may do the same. So its stats are low, but you kind of want it to die so you can continually give additional stats. So this is another interesting one for sure. Now, finally, we've got a Nova. Crimson Thorn at level 2. So give one of your creatures 4 health if it's only with an Exalt. Give each creature adjacent 4 health. So that's another new one. We've got Nova's Evolution. Upgrade up to 2 creatures in your hand, then discard one of them. I think that card's also really, or that ability is also awesome. And Nova's Might, which is pretty standard. We've seen that in other sets. So overall, this is an interesting list. We've only got 2 spirits in here, so it's hard to take advantage of that Shepherding Willow unless you have a good pair for it. But we've got removal with Botanimate. We've got the way to make Oak Fathers with Shoutthorn Splicer. We've got ways to play free cards with both the Overgrown and the Fertile Ground. So overall, this deck has a lot of just awesome cards, and the Cultivating Guardian lets you upgrade stuff that you normally wouldn't play on the creature side. So if the Binding Wildman or the Deep Branch Prowler is something you're not going to play in the earlier cycles, if you play your Cultivating Guardian, it can keep them on curve. So this deck is pretty solid. This is one that I would consider building around, just because it's got removal and some really strong cards overall. The downside is there's no Exalt that I would want to put that in, unless I'm activating the Fertile Ground to put the Deep Branch Prowler in it. All right. So next, we're going to go with our Necrim. Actually, I'll save Necrim for last, because there's a lot of really big chase cards in Necrim. So we're going to go with Tempest here. So we're starting with a Burnout. Set 1 card. Awesome card. Deep Frost Guardian is a card I really like out of this set. So you could activate it to deal damage to a creature. If it has increased attack, give that creature Defender this turn. So it's 1, 2, or 3 damage. And with cards like Burnout or other ways to give additional attack, this card could be really strong just to keep your opponent off of damage by just giving stuff Defender every turn. So I like this card. Flamestoker Ritual. This is a card that made me wish Thundersword was in the set. So 7 damage to one of your creatures to deal 15 to an enemy. It's just removal off of dealing damage to one of your own things. But you could basically do that to a Wisp and just use it as a sacrificial item. Lavafield Watchdog is another card I really like out of this set. So if one of your creatures was destroyed this turn, you give it additional attack and it's got Breakthrough. So basically they kill one of your things, or you sacrifice one of your things, then you play Lavafield Watchdog second. You're basically getting a 19-7 with Breakthrough, which is so good. Mount of Heroes. This is a card, I think Eli was a spoiler of this one. This card is one of the stronger cards, in my opinion, out of Tempest for this set. So you basically can activate to deal 2 damage to one of your creatures in that lane. If you do, at level 3, it gives each of your creatures +4. So level 1, it gives that creature +4. At level 2, it gives that one an adjacent +4. And it only lets you keep 1 Mount of Heroes on the board at a time. But basically, it's almost like Furious as a modifier. And if you have this with the Shard back, it could be really strong. But also just being like, hey, I'm going to activate, give my Deep Frost Guardian additional attack. It now has, even though it has decreased health, it's got +4. Now I can give something Defender. Like, this card is just really strong. This is one that I really like to see. We've got Neragath Commander. So this is a set 2 card. Again, if this happens to have a Shard back in the list, this could be really strong. Just because you have 2 ways to deal self-damage. 3 ways to deal self-damage with that Sparking Worm. 4 ways with the Stampeding Margosaur. There's a lot of ways to deal self-damage in this list. Man, I wish this had Thundersword. I wish Thundersword was in this set real bad. This might be good to prepare with a Betrayer Thundersword at this point. Wildfire Maiden's a new card that I like a lot. So if it's exalted, you could activate to deal damage to a creature or player. So with Mount of Heroes being an amazing exalt, this is a great card to have with the deck. And then finally, I think this might be the first Windreaver Seer that I've opened. So you can basically choose another creature, ready or exhaust it. You do it once per turn. So this with the Deep Frost Guardian is pretty insane. So I'm really excited to open this card. I think this deck is one that I could really see myself experimenting with. Just because there's a lot of really cool cards to potentially have a little combo with. Now we've got a Sunder with Summon the Storm at 2, Gathering Storm at 3, and Reclaim, which is a new ability at 4. So you could upgrade a spell in your hand. If it's an Exalt, you could play it for free. Definitely an interesting list. So this is one, like I mentioned, there's a lot of self-damage. Unfortunately, there's no self-damage synergy, but there's ways to give additional attack with both with the Nargath Commander, the Deep Frost Guardian, the Mount of Heroes. There's ways to deal damage to your opponent's creatures. Um, I think this is a really cool list that I'm excited to experiment with. It might not be the strongest list that I've ever seen, but again, I think I would pair this with a Betrayer Thundersword just to really get a lot of advantage out of the Betrayer. Not the Betrayer, the self damage. But also, Wind Reaver Seer with a Forge Seal Mantis list could be pretty insane. It's almost like a reliable lead the charge. So the hope is that I could find a good Sunder with Wind Reaver Seer. And I think this is a solid one for sure. So this might be one to experiment with for sure. That's my favorite list I think I've opened so far out of this display. Although, again, there's a lot of self-damage for no great payoff there. Now our last list out of this pack. If I could open it. Here we go. And we could see that there are no exalts out of this first one, which I'm a little sad about, but at the same time, there's a lot more opportunity out of the other displays, or other boosters. So we're starting with an Ardent Butcher, set 2 classic. We've got Caller of Souls. This is an interesting one. So at levels 1 and 2, you could basically upgrade cards. And at level 3, if you have 3 or more spirits in your banish pile, you could destroy this to destroy all enemy creatures. So it's like a one-sided board wipe if you can go through all the effort of playing the other levels. So I think this is a really cool one if you have spirits. We've got Coldheart Brute. Dreadbolt. Always a great card to see. Forsaken Monument. I think this is a new one. This has got to be a new Exalt. I know I've played with it enough where it feels like it's set 2, but this has got to be set 3. So you could deploy to deal 6 damage to a creature to gain 6, and then when one of your spirits comes into play, you basically do the same thing. Oh, this is similar to the Scientist one, which is why I'm thinking of already playing with this. We've got Immortal Echoes. So this one, you can basically upgrade a card in your discard. You give a creature minus attack and health. If it destroys it, at level 3, you can play a card in your discard for free. At the other levels, you can upgrade a second card. So this is just a good way to kind of turbo upgrade cards and have removal. We've got Engulfer. I like this card a lot. So it's Exalted, activate to destroy a card with a certain number of attacks. So at level 3, it's 7. This is a card that just really deals with Dark Art pretty well because it's on curve with Dark Art every level. And it's got a lot of attack too. River of Souls. This is one of the chase cards out of the new set. So you basically put energy counters on it, and it's similar to the Fertile Ground, where you can basically remove an energy counter to reanimate a creature. So level 1, you make a zombie. Level 2, you could reanimate a level 1. And at level 3, you could reanimate a 1 or 2. So this could be really strong, especially with Shamblers and things like that. But overall, if you have a good target to reanimate, this could be really strong. And Sacrifice Chamber. This card with the right deck can be insane. So basically, it's got Slay, deal damage to an enemy player to gain health. So if you have this with like a Grimgaunt Predator, which has when you deal damage to an opponent, destroy a creature, this could be really strong. So I really like Sacrifice Chamber. And finally, Stout Banshee. Now let's look at our Forgeborn. So we've got Nyx Nekia. Dead Winter at level 2, which is a new ability. You may give a creature -3/-3. If you have 1 or more spirits in your banish pile, you can give another creature -3/-3. We've got Loyal Beyond Death. Give a creature additional attack. When it's destroyed this turn, you can play a Brute. And Nyx's Rebellion, which is so 3 new abilities here. Choose a lane, destroy all cards in that lane. So overall, it's not a bad Nyx because you have removal. But this deck itself, we've got 3 Exalts with multiple. Well, there's only 1 exalted creature off the Engulfer, but you've also got Coldheart Brute, which cares about exalts. We've got only 1 spirit, which is kind of sad. So this would have to pair with another spirit-heavy list. Overall, with the Engulfer, part of me would want to play that with the Wind Reaver here. So you have a lot of ways to reanimate the Engulfer, reanimate a couple of those other strong red cards, and you could continuously activate stuff like your Engulfer or other cards. So I think my gut, just for the sake of fun, would be to play this as a purple-red, just because there's a lot of cool Exalted cards in the 2 of those. You got some removal in both of them. You could kind of feel okay removing some of your other creatures, because you could reanimate them with River of Souls. So I think this would be a really strong list. I don't think the red list had any spirits, though. It does not. So overall, you don't get the spirit synergy, but it's not super critical. Um, I guess your Caller of Souls really wouldn't be super relevant because you'll never be able to activate it, but your opponent might still be scared of it if they don't really look at your deck very well. So I think these would be fun just in terms of some of the cards. So the Tempest and the Necrium. That being said, I also think that this Necrium could pair pretty well with the Aloyan because, again, you have a couple other cool Exalt cards, such as if you have the Engulfer with the Drone Hive, that could be a really strong combo of, hey, I'm going to destroy one of your things and make a Gizmo. You have the ability to reanimate some of your cards like that Camouflaged Alamancer. There's a few mages here, and there's a few spirits in that card deck too. So I could see the argument of playing either the Aloyan list with this purple list. I could see the Tempest list with this purple. I could even see the Aloyan with the Tempest. So there's a lot of really cool options. Um, Tell me what you think would be the right option for this. So I might try to fuse a couple of the decks specifically from this booster to see what I think would be great. That being said, I'm going to be opening a ton of Last Winter, so I might just kind of look for a couple constructed lists and save some of the sealed for later on. But thank you for tuning in. Again, let me know what you think would be the best combo out of these 4 boosters or these 4 decks out of the booster. And I'm excited to see what you think. So comment that in the video below, and then look forward to the next one. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.